Hi, today we're going to start off with a cool trick. Um, the cover of this collection of poetry by E. Cummings has a bunch of fun colors on it, and just because of the way the lights are in this room, when I hold it up to the camera, all of a sudden, the whole color of the world changes. Isn't that crazy? What's with that? We're all red now. Anyways, this is 5 by E. Cummings. All I really knew about E. Cummings is that he wrote stuff that was syntactically really, really tough to read, basically. I think I'd heard that he wrote some erotic poetry as well, or maybe I just get him confused with Shel Silverstein. But anyways, I was surprised, especially as the collection went on, with how much I was, just charmed by this one. So yeah, is 5. The blurb here is, E. Cummings' fourth poetry collection demonstrates his skilled modernist voice and unmatched ability to test the limitations of the English language. First published in 1926, Is 5 contains 88 poems in Cummings' distinctively complex style. Featuring satirical work, many experimental pieces, and several anti-war poems, this volume is a collection of modernist poetry that explores classic poetic themes. Sounds about right. Something that's funny about this print version of the book is that there were a number of poems that I read in my EPUB version that contained, some of the raunchier poems, the off-color poems, and also some of the poems with classic, 1920s racial slurs are omitted from the print version, which made it confusing when I was transitioning between them. So let's find where was I? Where did I start? I started here. This one is called Gert. And I'm really gonna try not to trip over these too much, but some of them are really, really tough. And I can kind of show you why. Joggle, I think we'll do it, although the glad monosyllable jounce possibly can tell better how the balloons move. As her ghost lurks, a bow brummel sticking in its three-cornered, always moist mouth. Jazz, for whose twitching lips between you and me almost succeed while Toddle rings a bell. But if her tall corpse-colored body seat itself with the uncouth habitual dull jerk at garters, there's no sharpest neat word for the thing. Her voice? Gruesome. A trawl leaps from the lungs. Gimme a swell fight like up to, Ricta's Tuesday night, where a guy gets gain trows a lobster salad. There's something dialectical, and by dialectical I mean there's a dialect going on there. Not sure what exactly is going on, but I liked there's no sharpest neat word for the thing. This next one is untitled, and the rest of them will probably be untitled, I think. Not many titles in this collection. Even if all desires, things, moments be murdered, known, photographed, ourselves, yawning, will ask ourselves, Où sont les neiges? Some guys talks big about London, Berlin, and gay Paris, and some guys claims there never was nothin' like New Orleans, Chicago, St. Louis, New York, and San Fran dictaphones, wireless subways, vacuum cleaners, pianolas, funny graphs, skyscrapers, and safety razors. 'S'all right in its way, kiddo, but as for gimme the good old days. In dem days, kid, Christmas meant somethin' yous knows what. I refers ter Saturnalia. Comes but once a year. I'll tell de world. One swell bang-up time when nobody wore no clothes and went runnin' around with each other, hell-bent for election, makin' believe they was just born. I'm gonna stop subjecting myself to these accent ones really soon, but they're funny. What can I say? Yeah. This one is, I guess, number 9 in the section. The last one was number 8. Doesn't really mean anything. Death is more than certain. 100 these sounds, crowds, odors. It is in a hurry beyond that any this taxi smile or angle we do. Not sell and buy. Things so necessary as death, and unlike shirts, neckties, trousers, we cannot wear it out. No, sir, which is why, granted, who discovered America, ether, the movies, may claim general importance. To me, to you, nothing is what particularly matters. Hence, in a little sunlight and less moonlight, ourselves against the worms. Hate, laugh, shimmy. I find that one really impressive. I'm also impressed that I was able to kind of get through that thing in one try, because those pauses and enunciations were not written here in the page. Reading this out loud, I just have to take it really slow. But I really love hate, laugh, shimmy. I mean, yeah. Unlike shirts, neckties, trousers, we cannot wear it out. So true. Okay. I had one selected there, but I'm gonna skip it. If you want to read it, you can try to find the one about Uncle Sol. Uncle Sol had a chicken farm till the skunks ate the chickens. You can find that one and read it on your own. Okay. What am I going to read next? I'm going to read this one. My note on this one was surprisingly contemplative. It really must be nice never to have no imagination, or never to wonder about guys you used to, and them slim hot queens with damn next to nothing on, tangoing while a feller tries to hold down the $50 per job with one foot in a rock, a cradle with the other. It must be nice never to have no doubts about why you put the ring on, and watching her face grow old and tired, to which you're married, and hands getting red washing things and dishes. And to never really wonder, I mean, about the smell of babies, and how you know, damn the rent's going to end everything, and never to stand at no window, because I can't sleep smoking sawdust cigarettes in the middle of the night. It's kind of that is surprisingly contemplative. And you'll just have to take my word that I read that perfectly. None of those pauses or breaks were unforced errors. They were all in the text. Mr. Use needn't be so spry concernin' questions, arty. Each has his tastes, but as for I likes a certain party. Give me the He-Man's solid bliss, for use ideas I'll match use. A pretty girl who naked is worth 1,000,000 statues. Yes, that's so true. And yeah, it's too bad that so many of the other poems here that really expose that side of E. Cummings are just not in this book, so I'm not going to read them. But actually, maybe I'll be eating my words. She being brand new and, consequently a little stiff, I was careful of her, and having thoroughly oiled the universal joint, tested my gas, felt of her radiator, made sure her springs were okay. I went right toit, flooded the carburetor, cranked her up, slipped the clutch, and then somehow got into reverse. She kicked, what the hell. Next minute, I was back in neutral and tried again slowly, barely nudging my lever. Right, and her gears, being in A1 shape, passed from low through second into high, like greased lightning. Just as we turned the corner of Divinity Avenue, I touched the accelerator and give her the juice. Good. It was the first ride, and believe we was happy to see how nice she acted right up to the last minute, coming back down the public gardens. I slammed on the internal expanding and eternal contracting brakes, both at once, and brought all of her trembling to a dead standstill. Yeah, that's pretty hot. This one's XXVIII, and that means 28. I figured it out. A man who had fallen among thieves lay by the roadside on his back, dressed in 15th-rate ideas, wearing a round jeer for a hat. Fate, per somewhat more than less emancipated evening, had in return for consciousness endowed him with a changeless grin. Whereon a dozen staunch and leal citizens did graze at pause, then, fired by hypercivic zeal, sought newer pastures. Or, because swaddled with a frozen brook of pinkest vomit out of eyes, which noticed nobody, he looked as if he did not care to rise. One hand did nothing on the vest. Its wide-flung friend clenched weakly dirt, while the mute trouser-fly confessed a button solemnly inert. Brushing from whom the stiffened puke, I put 'em all into my arms, and staggered, banged with terror through 1,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 stars. Yeah. That has some interesting lines. Yeah, there's a lot of poems in this book that are like, oh, this guy's just kind of like, it's kind of masturbatory. But I mostly am not reading those ones to you. So, as far as you know, E. Cummings only wrote just bangers, and like, he did write some real bangers. Like, I think poems that are like like actually good, in a way that I can understand. Okay. I'm gonna skip this one. Oh yeah, this one. This one's kind of long. Let's see if I can do it. Voices to voices, lip to lip, I swear to no one, everyone, constitutes undying, or whatever this and that petal confutes, to exist being a peculiar form of sleep. What's beyond logic happens beneath will, nor can these moments be translated. I say that even after April, by God, there's no excuse for May. Bring forth your flowers and machinery, sculpture and prose, flowers, guess and miss. Machinery is the more accurate, yes, it delivers the goods, heaven knows. Yet we are mindful, though not as yet awake of ourselves, which shout and cling, being for a little while, and which easily break in spite of the best overseeing. I mean that the blonde absence of any program except last and always and first to live makes unimportant what I and you believe. Not for philosophy does this rose give a damn. Bring on your fireworks, which area mixed splendor of piston and of pistol, very well provided an instant may be fixed so that it will not rub like any other pastel. While you and I have lips and voices which are for kissing and to sing with who cares if some one-eyed son of a bitch invents an instrument to measure spring with. I'm gonna just give that one more try. While you and I have lips and voices which are for kissing and to sing, with who cares if some one-eyed son of a bitch invents an instrument to measure spring with. Each dream, Nassater, it's not made. Why then to hell with that, the other, this, since the thing perhaps is to eat flowers and not to be afraid. Yeah. That one's pretty fire. Okay. What's coming next? We're getting into the back half of the book, and I know I highlighted a lot of them. And as I'm scanning these, I'm like, there are some that I would love to read. I would love to read to you, but I just don't have what it takes. So let's see if I can do this one. Now that fierce few flowers stealthily in the alive west begin, requiescat this 6 feet of Breton big good body, which terminated in fists, hair, wood, erect, cursing hatless, who, bent by wind, slammed hard over the tiller, clattered forward, skidding in outrageous sabots, language trickling, pried his black mouth with fat jibing lips. Once upon a that this over, and the sea heaving indolent colorless forgets time, requiescat, carry carefully the blessed large silent hymn into nibbling final worms. I like that one because I guess it's a bit of an ode to a Dutch sailor. I mean, it does say Breton, but he's wearing sabots. I think sabots are clogs. Fuck. I guess if he's Breton, he can't be Dutch. But maybe honorary Dutch because he's wearing sabots. Okay. Let's find, yeah, I'll read this one. Among these red pieces of day, against which and quite silently hills made of blue and green paper scorch, bending themselves, upcurve into anguish, climbing, spiral, and disappear. Satanic and blasé, a black goat lookingly wanders. There is nothing left of the world, but into this nothing, il trono per Roma, signori, jerk, illy rushes. It's kind of amazing that I made it through that one until the last line. I'll show it to you. Can you tell just how messed up this thing is? Scorch, bending themselves, upcurve into anguished climbing, spiral and disappear. And then I got tripped up here at the end. Jerkily rushes. So I'm gonna leave that one in because honestly I think I did a pretty good job. Okay. Yeah, I'll read this one. Will out of the kindness of their hearts a few philosophers tell me what I am doing on top of this hill at Calchadas? I don't know how to pronounce some of these non-English words and names, so forgive me. In the sunlight. Down ever so far on the beach below me, a little girl in white spins, tumbles, rolling in sand. Across this water, crowding tints, browns and whites shoving, the dotting millions of windows of thousands of houses. Lisboa, like the crackle of a typewriter in the afternoon sky. Goats and sheep are driven by somebody along a curve of road which eats into a pink cliff, back and up, leaning out of yellow-green water. They are building a house down there by the sea in the afternoon. Rapidly, a reddish ant travels my fifth finger. A bird chirps in a tree. Somewhere, nowhere, and a little girl in white is tumbling in sand. Clouds over me are like bridegrooms, naked and luminous. Here the absurd I, life, to peer and wear clothes. I am altogether foolish. I suddenly make a fist out of 10 fingers. Voices rise from down ever so far. Hush. Sunlight. There are old men behind me, I tell you. Several. Incredible. Sleepy. Can't believe I didn't star that one. Life. To peer and wear clothes. That's like, yeah. So true, E.E. So true. That's really just a good... That feels like a still life to me. You know, there are some poems that are still lives. There are some that are portraits. Landscapes. Okay. Let's find our next one. Okay. Sunlight was over our mouths, fears, hearts, lungs, arms, hopes, feet, hands. Under us, the unspeaking Mediterranean, bluer than we had imagined. A few cries drifting through high air. A sail, a fishing boat. Somebody, an invisible spectator, maybe certain nobodies laughing faintly. Playing, moving far below us. Perhaps one villa caught like pieces of a kite in the trees. Here and here reflecting sunlight. Everywhere sunlight, keen, complete, silent. And everywhere your kisses, your flesh, mind breathing beside, under, around myself. By and by, a fat color reared itself against the sky and the sea. Finally your eyes knew me. We smiled to each other, releasing lay, watching, sprawling in grass upon a cliff, what had been something else carefully, slowly, fatally turning into ourselves. While in the very middle of fire all, the world becoming bright and little melted. I think this might have been the first one in this collection that I actually felt seduced by, and I'm like, oh my god, like if someone wrote me this poem, like I would be like putty. And I think that's an increasing trend as the collection goes on. Maybe you can tell me if EE is getting to you too. The moon looked into my window. It touched me with its small hands. And with curling infantile fingers, it understood my eyes, cheeks, mouth. Its hand slipping, felt of my necktie, wandered against my shirt and into my body. The sharp things fingered tinily my heart to life. I'm going to be evil. I'm not going to read you the rest of that poem because only the first stanza really matters. Okay. If being mortised with a dream, myself speaks, whispering, suggesting that our souls inhabit whatever is between them, knowing my lips, hands, the way I move, my habits, my laughter, I say, you will perhaps pardon, possibly you will comprehend, and how this has arrived your mind may guess, if at sunset it should, leaning against me, smile, or between dawn and twilight, giving your eyes, present me also with the terror of shrines, which no one has suspected, but wherein silently always are kneeling the various deaths which are your lover lady, together with what keen innumerable lives he has not lived. Yeah, the terror of shrines. Yeah. This one I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna read it because it's cute. But it's really hard to read, so we'll see. Here's a little mouse, and what does he think about? I wonder as over this floor, quietly with bright eyes, drifts nobody can tell because nobody knows, or why jerks here and here, grooving the room's silence, this like a littlest poem, a wee with ears and see? Tail frisks, gone, mouse, we are not the same, you and I, since here's a little he, or is it, or was something we saw in the mirror? Therefore, we'll kiss, for maybe what disappeared into ourselves, who look startled. I think he is kissing the mouse in the end. That's my interpretation of that poem. Okay. In spite of everything which breathes and moves, since doom, with white longest hands, neatening each crease, will smooth entirely our minds. Before leaving my room I turn, and, stooping through the morning, kiss this pillow dear, where our heads lived and were. I'm gonna just read that again. In spite of everything which breathes and moves, since doom with white longest hands, neatening each crease, will smooth entirely our minds. Before leaving my room I turn, and stooping through the morning, Kiss this pillow, dear, where our heads lived and were. Yeah. He's just so romantic. Such a romantic guy. Okay. We're approaching the end. Okay, here's another one where I wrote that I would be seduced. Since feeling is first, who pays any attention to the syntax of things will never wholly kiss you. Wholly to be a fool while spring is in the world. My blood approves, and kisses are a better fate than wisdom. Lady, I swear by all flowers. Don't cry. The best gesture of my brain is less than your eyelids' flutter, which says, we are for each other. Then laugh, leaning back in my arms, for life's not a paragraph, and death, I think, is no parenthesis. I get why I wrote that I'd be seduced, but also that one's that one's a bit abstract, so maybe I wouldn't be seduced for very long. Okay, what are we reading? Yeah, I guess I'll read this one. Some ask praise of their fellows, but I, being otherwise, made compose curves and yellows, angles or silences, to a less erring end. Myself is sculptor of your body's idiom, the musician of your wrists, the poet who is afraid only to mistranslate a rhythm in your hair, your fingertips, the way you move, the painter of your voice. Beyond these elements, remarkably, nothing is. Therefore, lady, I am content should any by me carven thing provoke your gesture, possibly, or any painting, for its own reason, in your lips, slenderly should create one least smile. Shyly, if a poem should lift to me the distinct country of your eyes, gifted with green twilight. That one is good. That one is good. I had trouble reading that, but it's getting late, so I'm not going to try again. It is so long since my heart has been with yours, shut by our mingling arms through a darkness where new lights begin and increase, since your mind has walked into my kiss as a stranger into the streets and colors of a town, that I have perhaps forgotten how, always from these hurrying crudities of blood and flesh, love coins his most gradual gesture and whittles life to eternity, after which our separating selves become museums filled with skillfully stuffed memories. Love coins his most gradual gesture and whittles life to eternity. And he capitalizes his, which, interesting. You can figure that one out. Sorry, I wish I had time to just read you this whole book, but I'm not going to. I'm going to read you exactly one more. If I have made, my lady, intricate, imperfect, various things, chiefly which wrong your eyes, frailer than most deep dreams are frail, songs less firm than your body's whitest song upon my mind, if I have failed to snare the glance too shy, if through my singing lips, the very skillful strangeness of your smile, the keen primeval silence of your hair, let the world say, his most wise music stole nothing from death, You will only create who are so perfectly alive my shame. Lady, through whose profound and fragile lips the sweet, small, clumsy feet of April came into the ragged meadow of my soul. In 1926, everyone was obsessed with April. I don't know if you've noticed that, but it's been a bit of a pattern. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. And I'm gonna end by turning the world totally red again. Isn't